Hi kids, happy Earth Day. My name's Miss Bobbie and I love nature. I love trees, I love plants, I love animals, I love rivers and rocks. I love all of nature, and I really love to teach kids about nature. Today we're going to learn about the special trees that are growing in this grove here at Wendy Kroger Park in Salem. These are Oregon white oak trees. They're native to the Willamette Valley. We're going to learn how you can find my friend the Oregon oak tree. There are clues to look for. It's kind of like being a nature detective. One of the things you can look for is on the ground. Let me see if I can find one. Oh, here's one. Oh, here are a couple. One of the things that I look for when I'm trying to find my friend an Oregon oak are these nuts. I bet you know what they're called. They're called acorns. You know, acorns don't grow on cherry trees, and acorns don't grow on apple trees. Acorns only grow on oak trees. This kind of oak is the Oregon white oak, and it always has acorns about this size. So when you're outside in nature, if you find acorns like this, then you've probably found my friend the Oregon oak. Another clue you can look for, I'm going to put these acorns in my pocket. Another clue you can look for are the leaves. Let's see if I can find some. Oh, here they are. There's another acorn. Scientists know that different kinds of trees have different leaf shapes. Some trees have round leaves. Some trees have heart-shaped leaves. The Oregon white oak always has leaves with this shape. Scientists call this a lobed leaf. Do me a favor, touch your earlobe. Your earlobe is the round part that hangs down. Some people have an earring in their earlobe. Now look at this. There's an earlobe shape, and there's an earlobe shape, and there's another one and another one, and there are earlobe shapes on this side too. Two clues. When you're outside in nature and you find acorns, and then you find leaves with the earlobe shapes, then you found my friend the Oregon oak. This time of year, in the springtime, the leaves are just beginning to leaf out for springtime. They're not very big, but very soon they will be. And of course, when summer's over and fall comes, then the Oregon oak will let its leaves fall to the ground. These are leaves left over from last fall. There's one more clue to look for when you want to be sure you found my friend the Oregon white oak. The last clue is to actually look at the bark. I like that tree right there. It's got great bark. I'm going to walk over there and show you. And while I walk over, I'm going to look for some acorns. Oh, here's an old acorn. And I think a squirrel may have taken a bite out of the hard shell. I see some old brown earlobe leaves. They're decomposing, they're rotting, they're falling apart and becoming part of the soil. Look at the bark here. An Oregon white oak always has gray bark, and it's very bumpy, and it has these deep lines in it. Now I want to show you an activity that you can do when you find an Oregon oak on your own. Oregon oak activity that I want to show you is a bark rubbing right on the trunk of this big old Oregon oak. To do a bark rubbing, you need a piece of paper, and you can see on this paper one side is blank and the other side has writing on the back. I'm recycling this paper. I don't need this side anymore, but I'm going to use it again on this other side. That way each piece of paper is used 2 times and we use less paper, which is a good idea. You know, paper is made from trees. And if you use both sides of a piece of paper, you're actually going to save trees because we won't have to cut down so many to make so much new paper. I like to use both sides of each paper. The other thing you'll need is a crayon. Now I have a bag of crayons and all the paper has been peeled off of each one. That's what you have to do if you want to do a bark rubbing. I'm going to choose a really dark color. This looks like it might be either blue or purple. That's a nice dark color. I'm going to choose that one and crayons down. All you have to do is hold the paper up against the tree trunk. I think I'm going to do it this way. I think I'll do it this way. And then you use your crayon, but you don't color with the end of it. You color with the side of it. That's why I peeled the paper off. And I'm going to rub this crayon from side to side right on the bark. And that way I get an imprint of all the bumpy parts. I like the way it sounds. And when you're all done, you have a nice picture of the bumpy bark of my friend, the Oregon oak. Now that we know what Oregon oak trees look like, we need to think about how they help other living things. I know that sounds kind of strange, a tree helping other living things, but it's true. Oregon oak trees can help up to 100 different animals in a year. And one of the ways that Oregon oak trees help animals is by providing them with food. Remember the acorns? Lots of animals eat acorns. Birds eat acorns, and squirrels love acorns. I found something I want you to see. It's right here where these 2 trunks of the Oregon oak are growing apart from each other. It's a gray squirrel's kitchen. Right here, I can see where a gray squirrel has been eating acorns. You can see part of the shell that the squirrel left behind when it was eating the nut inside. Here's another part of the shell. Squirrels eat lots and lots of acorns, and they also save acorns for winter. But when they save their acorns, they don't save them in a kitchen spot like this. No, they bury them in the ground. And then in the winter, when there are no acorns growing on the Oregon oak trees, the squirrels go back to the places where they buried their acorns and they dig them up and they eat them. But they forget about some of them. Some of them they just don't remember where they put them. And those acorns stay in the ground all winter. And then when springtime comes, I have a collection of these acorns I want to show you. When springtime comes, those buried acorns that the squirrel forgot about, they start to grow. That's the root that would go down into the soil. And those acorns that the squirrel forgets about grow, and they become baby Oregon oak trees. Another way that Oregon oak trees help animals is by giving them materials out of which they can make their nests. Birds love to gather the earlobe leaves and put them in their nests. And you know, squirrels do the same thing. A squirrel will make a nest out of earlobe leaves. There's a squirrel's nest right up there in that skinny Oregon oak. And scientists have a special name for a squirrel's nest. Scientists call a squirrel's nest a dray. Oh, I see a gray squirrel right by the dray. The dray is a big ball of earlobe leaves. And the squirrel will crawl inside and line the inside with grass. So it's a nice, warm, cozy home. I want to show you one more way that the Oregon oak tree helps another creature. And this is so cool. I have to look for it on the ground. Oh, here's one. Perfect. I found an earlobe leaf. You can see it's from last year. And when I turn it over, you can see there's that round thing on there. And this has something to do with how the Oregon oak tree helps this other creature. Let me explain. There's a little tiny insect. It's so little it looks like a little ant with wings. And they fly around in the air near Oregon oak trees. And when the mama insect is ready to lay her eggs, she won't lay her eggs on the ground like some insects do. No, she won't lay her eggs on a rock. No. The only place that will work is the underneath side of an earlobe leaf that's on an Oregon oak tree. And when she lays her teeny tiny little eggs on the leaf, there's a sticky stuff around the eggs. It makes the eggs stick to the leaf. And there's something in that sticky stuff that irritates the leaf. It bothers the leaf. So the leaf grows that ball around the babies to protect them when they're really little. That thing is not an egg. It's something the tree grows around the very tiny babies. It's like a nursery for baby bugs. And when the insects inside are ready to come out, they chew a hole and then they fly away. It's awesome. Now, some people think that looks like a ball, but it's not called a ball, it's called a gall. G-A-L-L. It rhymes with ball, but it starts with G. The mama gall wasp, that's the name of the insect, she lays her eggs on the leaf, and the leaf grows a gall around the babies to protect them. Oregon oak trees help so many living things, even baby bugs. Now, we're going to go over to another part of the park and show you some other things. I'm in another part of the park today, and I'm under this Oregon white oak tree, and I bet that one is probably 200 years old. These trees live a really long time. So I'm kind of standing under great grandpa Oregon oak. And I'm going to do an activity now that's kind of like a nature game. I have this foam dice, and if you want to do this at home, you could get a dice from one of your games. And I also have this yogurt container. You know, when I am done with the yogurt, I wash these out and save them, and I use them over and over again. That's another way that you can recycle, and another way that you can be friendly to the earth, because we don't want to fill up all of our garbage dumps with stuff that we could use again. I also have this list of words. The activity is an activity in which I'm going to find things that have different textures, things in nature that have different textures. A texture of something is how it feels. My vest feels kind of soft. This yogurt tub is smooth. Textures are the way things feel. And the words that I have are, the first word is fuzzy. I also have the word squishy, that's the second word. The third word I have is soft. Word number 4 is hard. The fifth word is rough. And word number 6 is smooth. I'll roll the dice and see what number comes up, and then I'll find the word that matches that number. Then I'll look for something in nature that matches the word too. Okay, ready? Here we go. It's number 3. 1, 2, oh, 3. It's soft. I need to find something in nature that's soft, and I can put it in my bucket. I'm going to collect it. Soft. Let's see. Soft. No, that's kind of scratchy. Oh, that's a soft leaf. I want to take this leaf. It's really soft. Oh yeah, it even feels soft on my cheek. I'll put that in my bucket. Now I'm going to roll the dice again. Ready? Here we go. Oh, this time it's number 4. Let's see what word goes with the number 4. Number 3 was soft. Number 4 is hard. I'm going to find something that has a hard texture. I still have my soft thing. Now I have to look for something hard. Wow, these flowers are so pretty. That's the camas plant. It blooms every spring here in the Willamette Valley, but it's not hard. I'm looking for hard. Oh! This acorn has a hard shell. That's what I'm going to use for hard. Now it's your turn. You could use a dice and write some words on some paper and do this game at home. Hi kids, Miss Bobbie here again, and I found another Oregon oak tree. It's a really big one, and I like it a lot because it's growing right next to this beautiful creek. This is the upper part of Pringle Creek here in Salem. And a lot of people don't know it, but a little creek like this is full of amazing living things. Let me show you. I have to get down in the water. The first living thing that I noticed were these little tiny green plants. They're called duckweed, and oftentimes insects will hide under the duckweed, and some animals eat duckweed. This creek must be really, really clean to have the duckweed growing. Now, there's something else I want to show you, and this is amazing. It's very small. It's on this rock. They're eggs. Tiny, tiny eggs. Those eggs were laid by an insect called a mayfly. When Mama Mayfly lays her eggs, she lays them on a rock in the water, and then she flies away. And when the babies hatch, they have to take care of themselves. Mom doesn't help them at all. And they spend a lot of their life in the water before they leave the water as grown-ups. And then some of them will lay eggs too. Those eggs are so tiny. There must be 50 of them there. I have to put them back in the water. I also noticed a water skipper. That's an insect that lives right on the surface of the water. They spend their whole time swimming around on the water looking for other insects to eat. It'd be fun to be able to float on the water like that. Now there's something else I want to show you, and I collected it in my yogurt tub. And some people might think these things are kind of yucky and gross, but I think they're fascinating. Let me show you. I have some water in here, and I have 3 leeches that I found in the creek. A leech is a segmented worm. It can move its body and be really long and skinny, or it can move it and be shorter and wider. A leech has a sucker on each end of its body on the bottom, and that's how they hang on to rocks in the creek. Leeches like to eat the decomposing, the rotting things on the bottom of the creek, and they also will eat other small creatures. You know, you might have a creek like this near your house or your apartment, and you could do some investigating and looking at the living things that live in this kind of a habitat too. I want to show you one more creek activity, and it's an activity that you could do in a creek near your home. As long as you have an adult with you, you'll always have to be safe. This measuring activity is a cool one, and I want to show you a measuring tool that I have. It's a tape measure. People use a tape measure like this to measure something in inches. There's 1 inch long, 2 inches long, 3 inches, 4 inches, and this keeps going and going. I'm going to use a different measuring tool to start with. I'm going to use nature's measuring tool, a stick. And I'm actually going to measure how deep the water is in this part of Pringle Creek. I'm going to look for the shallow part, and then I'm going to look for a deep part. Do you know what shallow means? Shallow means not very deep. Deep means it's got more water than the shallow places. I'm going to use my stick to look for a shallow place first. And I can tell by my boots that this is not very deep. It's pretty shallow. I think, oh, here's a good spot. I'm going to put it right here in the water like that. Oh, I can see how high the water comes up on the stick. And I can see where it's wet. That's how high the water came up on the stick. Hey, I'm going to measure it with the tape measure to see how many inches deep it is in that spot. I don't think it's going to be deep. I think it's shallow. It's 2.5 inches deep. Pretty cool. Now I have to look for a deep part. I got to be careful though. I want it deeper than 2.5 inches. Oh, this water looks deeper to me. Over here, I have to be oh, it's going up high on my boots. I'll try it right there. Oh, I can see the watermark. It came clear up to here. Now I'll measure it with my tape measure. Oh my gosh, that spot over there is 10 inches deep. The shallow spot was 2.5 inches deep, and the deeper spot was 10 inches deep. A creek has different areas that are different depths. Some of them are shallow spots and some of them are deep spots. Different kinds of animals live in the shallow spots, and other kinds of animals live in the deep spots. Now, it's your turn. It's almost time for me to say goodbye. But before I say goodbye, I want to show you this feather that I found. It was right here by the creek. It came from a crow, and I think of it as a gift from the crow to me. I like the way it feels. It feels soft. You know, today's Earth Day, and Earth Day is an important day, but for me, Earth Day is every day. We're here to honor and respect nature. That's our job. And we're also here to honor and respect each other. That's also our job. On Earth Day and every other day, we need to honor and respect nature and each other. We need to take care of the earth. Thanks for spending some time in nature with me. Bye-bye.